when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And soon the broken-hearted people living in the world will see they can be the answer, let it be. For though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they be free. They will have an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There awaits their answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until forever, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music, Mother Mary comforts me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be.
Close your eyes and take a moment just to be present with yourself. Allow your breathing to deepen naturally as you relax into your seat and in your body. I am innocent. Say these words quietly to yourself, speaking to the very center of your being. I am innocent. Perhaps there is a part of you still resisting the words, that doesn't quite believe them, doesn't quite want to believe them. Allow yourself to accept that part of you. It is safe to notice the resistance to the words, without turning away, without getting attached. It is safe to release the resistance. Remain present with yourself, your thoughts and your feelings, as you speak the words, I am innocent. That is the truth. You are innocent. You have always been innocent. And you will always be innocent. Nothing can tarnish the perfection of love that you are as a son of God. In your innocence, you are powerful. Only you have the power to create in your reality. In acknowledging your power to create, you claim your divinity. In claiming your divinity, you set yourself free from helplessness and from powerlessness. I am innocent. Guilt, shame, and fear have no power over you, for you are innocent. In choosing to purify your consciousness through unconditional love, you are reminded of your innocence. God knows only your perfection and did not create punishment in any form. God guarantees your innocence. You are innocent, beloved. You are innocent in the eyes of love. If a voice tries to pop into your head to tell you that you are guilty of anything, you can simply, peacefully state the truth. I am innocent. There is nothing more you need to do but to claim the truth for yourself. Relax into that truth. Be with that truth. I am innocent. In seeing the truth of your own innocence, you are able to recognize the innocence of your brother. In seeing his innocence, you set him free, and you set yourself free. In setting him free, you allow your brother to remember his innocence. I am innocent. Know that the quiet whisper of love will always lead you to the truth that you are innocent. The voice of love invites you to surrender into that truth. It is safe to forgive yourself for past choices, past mistakes, to see that you have always been doing your best, and that is enough. It is safe to accept the atonement that love offers to you now. I am innocent. Choose to live from the truth of being innocent, from the knowing that you are innocent. Allow the peace of this knowing to flood your being, to set you free. Allow this choice to easily integrate into the living meditation of your life. And whenever you are ready, you may open your eyes.
Hello everyone, we're Twin Flames Gabe and Brianna, and we are honored to give you this week's card reading for the Church of Union service. We will be pulling from the Everyday Miracles deck by Robert and Holly Holden. See that there? And why don't you pull the first card for us?
Sure. So we've already pulled the cards, and the first card is God's voice speaks to me all through the day. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. And the back says, the part of your mind in which truth abides is in constant communication with God, whether you are aware of it or not. The part of your mind in which truth abides is in constant communication with God, whether you are aware of it or not. And for me, what this really says is God speaks to you through all things and all people, and not just one thing or one person, but God is everywhere and in all things. And you do yourself a disservice when you refuse to hear God in others, or you refuse to hear God in certain things. So allowing yourself to be more open to experiencing God in all things, in all areas. And I just love that part about the part of your mind in which truth abides is in constant communication with God. Like you're always communicating with God, and God is always communicating with you. So you can choose at any moment to experience God anytime, however that experience is happening.
You never have to feel like, God's not speaking with you. Like he's always there with you, and you always understand it on some level.
Amen.
Yeah. So the second card we have for today is I am affected only by my thoughts. I am affected only by my thoughts. And the back says, seek not to change the world, but to choose to change your mind about the world.
What you see reflects your thinking, and your thinking but reflects your choice of what you want to see. Seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. What you see reflects your thinking, and your thinking but reflects your choice of what you want to see. So if you're focused on things that are, the negative in the world, that's what you'll continue to see. But really, if you want to focus on the good things, the beautiful things, the peaceful things, those are the things you'll continually manifest in your reality, and you'll only be able to experience the love and joy that is actually there.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, do you have any feelings about this one?
Yeah, for me it's about really just the mirror exercise. For those of you who are already familiar with Jeff and Shaleia's work, the mirror exercise is a core practice that we teach and we do. And it's really taking responsibility for your reality and being disciplined with your thoughts and diligent with your thoughts, and recognizing when a thought is out of alignment or your experience is out of alignment with your divine perfection, and choosing instead to only experience perfection and love yourself in the place that you're hurting. So, yeah.
Nice.
And the final card is, today belongs to love, let me not fear. Aww. If you knew who walks beside you on the way that you have chosen, fear would be impossible. If you knew who walks beside you on the way that you have chosen, fear would be impossible. Oh yeah, it's recognizing that God is who walks beside you. God is with you, and you can't be apart from God. What is that from the opening prayer? I am a child of God, created in Him, created by Him in perfection, and there I always remain. Yeah. And so when you have that moment where you return back to that feeling of being with God, and you remember who you are, all you see is the perfection and the joy, and the fear goes out the window. It's not even real.
Yeah.
So today belongs to love, let me not fear.
I think that ties everything up very well. God is always speaking with you, and you're only really affected by your own thoughts because God is always with you. And if you choose to see that, then you know that you have nothing to fear.
Yeah, perfect.
So thank you so much for joining us today with this service, and we hope you enjoy the sermon.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello everyone, I'm Laurențiu.
And I'm Alexandra, and today we are happy to introduce Jeff and Shaleia in the wonderful sermon about why do Black Lives Matter. This is a topic that's very important right now in the world, and of course our gurus and spiritual teachers Jeff and Shaleia are going to bring us relief and truth about what is really happening here, and just offer clarity about this situation. And for me, watching this sermon in preparation for this intro, I was really happy to be educated. And this is something that as a white person right now, we really need to be educated about what the Black people are going through, where are they coming from, and why there is this situation happening. We know about the history of things, but it's really important to have the awareness of what is happening right now. Yeah, I really love what Jeff and Shaleia give a really good advice about how to just kind of go to about this situation. And it's all about having, in a way, compassion for what's happening and standing in that place. And last Sunday service was about compassion, so I feel like we're just deepening that understanding of what compassion is in this really actual topic that's happening right now in the world.
And it really humbles you as well. It's really like the best approach is to be humble with this situation, because they spoke about what's happening even with the police, and how this how to interact with the police, how to interact with
Yeah.
the whole system.
Yeah, and what the system is, yeah, what the system of government and the police, the authorities, what they really are for you and for us, for all of us, no matter if we're black or white, and how to really interact with the system. And also it's important, like Jeff and Shaleia shared, to realize that we are dealing with people, right? People have their own personal issues that are causing their behavior, but it doesn't mean, first of all, that it has to be excused or condoned or agreed upon, but also we have to approach this from a healing perspective with love and compassion. And it doesn't mean that we ignore, all of the hardships that have happened in the past, right? We are just willing to change accordingly, so we can move on as cultures in a much more better place, because truly and honestly, we do need the black community, the black culture to be thriving and to be successful, to be what it was meant to be. Yeah.
And all of us are equal here, and all of us to be seen as equal, like them to see like, hey, we're all equal, like it's just a different skin tone, like it's just like, it shouldn't make that big of a difference within who we are.
Yeah, we are all equal, and our differences, no matter if they're culturally, like skin tone, or like where we grew, like Jeff and Shaleia really talk in a beautiful way in the sermon about how all of these matter in a way, and especially right now for the black community, to really bring their worth to the world. And we are really eager to see how this will evolve, and the black culture is really, really beautiful and full of richness, right? And we are experiencing the healing of that culture, so we can experience it to the next level in a way that we are going to just be united more and more, right? It's the Church of Union, so we are talking about union here, right? And we hope that this situation will bring a lot of healing to everyone, and it definitely will bring a lot of healing to all of us, and will bring, the heaven on earth that everybody deserves.
Yep.
Good. And without further ado, let's hear what Jeff and Shaleia have to share with us in today's sermon.
Hi, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Shaleia. Welcome back to another wonderful Church of Union Sunday service. Please join us in our 3 opening ohms and our opening prayer. So let's take a nice deep breath in and chanting either mentally or out loud. Please join us in our opening prayer.
I am the only child of God, forever part of Him. I am created by Him in perfection, and there I always remain. My mind is my sanctuary, where I keep His holy creation sacred. I will only allow in His voice. I will only accept His word.
Today, I will hear the word of God. I surrender myself to his teachings through his divine channel. I will honor what he has spoken and accept it as his will. I will be obedient to his word, for this is my salvation. In Christ's name,
Om.
Amen.
Amen. Today we're going to be speaking about why Black Lives Matter. And I know this is a very important topic right now in this particular time, and it's an important topic culturally for really hundreds of years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I want to preface this by communicating who we're speaking to in this sermon.
Well, yeah, because we can't possibly speak necessarily to people of color about, Black Lives Matter, but we can certainly speak to white people or Caucasian people about why Black Lives Matter. And I think that this is where we've really come to at this point is, people of color and Black Lives Matter movement really asking for white people to understand where they're coming from and why there does need to be change in the way that this system is run, in particular with the current events. It's about police, the way that police profile particularly men of color as well as women of color, Black men, Black women. But yeah, I think it's really important to discuss this because racism has been an issue on the planet. It's a tale as old as time.
So let's talk about race first.
Mm-hmm.
And in university, I had to take 2 anthropology classes as an elective. It was some sort of weird requirement for getting my business degree.
Mm-hmm.
And in both classes, they only taught one single lesson repeatedly.
Oh, yeah.
And the lesson can be summed up as this: race doesn't exist. There's no basis for race. There's no basis whatsoever for picking out one human from another. But obviously we see there's some sort of differences between humans, and it's not there's no different race. It's just one single human race. Mm-hmm. And anthropology sees one. It doesn't matter what country you're from, where you were born, we're all the same. But there's obviously differences in skin color, in culture, in background, and that's what we're going to speak about, and that's why Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to call this group of people Black people. And I know that might be a really uncomfortable thing to say, but it's a very easy way for me to communicate it. And this is what I mean when I say Black people. Or white people, and this is kind of the culturally, accepted way to say this, and I want to make sure that I'm clear about what I mean when I say Black people, and why I'm using that term. Mm-hmm. Because that's the term that people of color are referring to themselves as in this dialogue about themselves, and they're referring to people of Caucasian descent as white people. It's just a very easy, simple, and clean way, rather than saying people of color or people of African descent or people of European descent or Caucasians. It's just a simpler way to say it. So what do I mean when I say Black people? Now let's talk about skin color for a moment. The reason that your skin is black or white or any color is most likely due to geographic location and your relationship to the sun. If you are in a place with a lot of sun, your skin darkens, it gets really tan, and it adapts to the UV rays to protect yourself. And if you're in a place with not a lot of sun, you tend to be a lot lighter complexion. So it's a geographic thing, skin color, and as far as I'm aware, it's probably no more than that. Mm-hmm. But there is something that is very real and very important and very relevant, and this is where this stems from, and it's culture. Culture is important, and we can denote cultural differences. There is rich culture on this planet, and culture it It is in large geographic locations, and it is also in much more micro locations. Culture can be as large as a continent like Africa or North America or Europe or Asia, and we see these cultural differences. And it can be as small as your location, like people from Michigan have a different accent than people right over the border in Ontario, Canada, or a really different accent from people who are in the South. Are you trying to say something right now?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm just wondering where this is headed.
Well, trust.
Okay.
I'm developing foundation. Shaleia has a women's studies degree. Or you studied women's studies for many years in college.
Yeah, but what that means is like most of my women's studies was based on, race. There's always race, involved. So I didn't just study like feminism. It was also like racial issues.
Well, racial issues are really cultural issues is what I'm pointing out.
That's a big part of it, is cultural issues. I think the biggest part is believing that there is separation from one's brother and denying the experience of another, as saying, oh, that's not true. And you can justify violence on a person if you see them as less than a person, less than human. Or
you can justify it if you see them as more than human, something other than what they're supposed to be.
Okay, yeah.
Same thing.
And so I think there's this, I don't know what I can call it, like a counter movement, but the All Lives Matter, I guess that's a movement too, or at least, this is what I see a lot of, white people replying back with is, well, all lives matter, but, all lives, like if Black lives don't matter, then like it's all lives matter is irrelevant. And this is what we're working on. Like you can't deny the history of systemic abuse that has occurred to black people of color, in North America.
And so this is where I was getting to.
Right.
Black people, and it's like a culture, right? And that culture stems largely from Africa and the African continent. And a large reason, not the only reason, but a large reason and a huge cultural influence of Black people was slavery and the exploitation of Black people from Africa. And there's no other way to put it but that these people were exploited out of their home country in Africa. And so this is why it's really not like violent to say, oh, if you don't like it here, you should go back to Africa. That's completely disrespectful. And the reason that there's so much tension is because of a misunderstanding between these two cultures. And we believe that if white people understood Black people better, there would be far less tension.
Right. We lived, a couple of years ago, we lived in basically an all Black neighborhood. And we really got to feel what is the solution here, because I know that in general, I'm speaking for white people in America and Canada, that they want to be close to Black people. And I see that the same is true for I think Black people want to be closer to white people too. We want to come together. And you can see a lot of the upset as well, we consume and enjoy Black culture, the music, the clothes, the art, but we don't respect them in the same way that, we would respect a white person.
So in order for you to respect a Black person, you must understand their story, their cultural story. Because whatever color, your skin, wherever your cultural background, whatever culture you are in right now and identify with, your cultural history has enormous impact on how you are today.
Right, because America was formed in two ways. Immigrants coming from Europe and immigrants coming from Africa. And we have to acknowledge that that is what America is. It's two seemingly completely different cultures that has formed America and Canada. and we can't deny that history. And so we have to
Well,
also
and Native Americans too.
and Native Americans.
And people from
That's
South
why I
America.
also say people of color, because it describes a lot, more than just one group.
Sure.
So, once again, like, it's about understanding, like, where they came from and why they're acting a certain way. Like, they are living in a different reality than, like, your average white person.
So let's talk about what is white privilege. And in order to understand white privilege, you need to understand Black history. Black people in general who came to America through the slavery system were either exploited by other Black, people in Africa, by other tribes or rivaling tribes, or even in their own tribe or their own people, and sold into slavery, or they were pillaged and stolen, kidnapped. So either way, there was something egregious and violent and unacceptable that happened to them, and then they were taken over to America, and on the way they were treated in a disgusting, horrific way, and many of them did not survive the trip. And then once they were here, they were treated like animals, and were treated very poorly, and maybe some were treated okay, but in the end, no one who was a slave was respected as an equal to their white owner or the plantation owner. Now, if you are enslaved, if you do not have complete freedom of choice, you are not respected as an equal. Now, if this was your cultural beginning, white person I'm speaking to, you would have a very different perspective on reality.
And this is why you notice that Black people in America and Canada in general are like a tribe, because they come from the same history. Like, this is how we started here.
They have the same cultural unity. Right,
like that's not the same like for everyone. Like my family, there was a potato famine. They came over to a better land, and you guys came from Greece. Your family.
Yep, half my family. I am half Greek, so they came from Greece just during World War II as refugees, and for the big boom that was going on in America for in the auto industry. They came to Detroit.
Right.
And they were thriving, and the other half of my family is Irish and German, and that part of my history draws back from the Civil War, as far as I'm aware, maybe even deeper than that.
Right. And none of our families were crazy wealthy. There was definitely struggle and even upsets with the home country kind of thing, but it was not slavery. It was not like this.
My history is one of acceptance in society. One where it was the majority society, one where white people ran the country and started the country and only saw themselves as the country.
The clash was really between the classes, poor people versus rich people.
Yeah, but it's a completely different story than...
It's a different story.
My family came over as slaves, and we've had to pull ourselves up not only out of poverty but slavery too. Pull ourselves up out of us, through a society that inherently does not accept or respect our cultural ways, does not see us or value us as equal.
And we also need to understand that this is still very new and fresh. Yes, it's the 21st century. TikTok is happening, Instagram, YouTube, fun things. But America is 200 and some years old?
Not old.
This is very new. Compared to
segregation ended in the 60s.
Yeah. This is a very new country. This is a very new hit. These are fresh wounds. This is not culturally. It's not like our country is thousands of years old.
Culturally, Black people in America are, and probably over the world too, pulling themselves up out of, because this isn't just an America thing. Slavery, Africa was exploited for slavery, the slave trade, for hundreds of years all over the world.
Yeah.
And all over Europe, and it was a really terrible thing.
Right.
But at the same time, we want to see the good in it, right? This is the Church of Union, and we want to see the Unionist perspective. And the Unionist perspective is seeing something through God's eyes. And God saw this as the or God used this as a way to bring African culture all over the world. And now African culture is all over the world.
And like African culture is a beautiful culture. African spirituality is a beautiful spirituality. African people are beautiful people.
And equal.
They're equal to
brother
us.
in God.
They're equal brothers in God.
And often I see that they communicate that they don't feel equal to white people, or they see that white people feel that they are not equal to black people. And herein lies the illusion of a divide. There are two different cultures here, and these two different cultures, black culture and white culture, are, all different cultures here in the United States at least, are forming one greater culture. And that is a global culture, a culture of all cultures. That doesn't mean that you lose your native culture. It doesn't mean that I'm going to lose my white culture, or that a black person would lose their black culture, or any other person would lose their culture, lose their native culture. Your spirituality, your culture, it's all essential. But it all comes together into a single global culture. And that global culture is one of harmony and union and unity, where we are all respecting of one another, where we do not fear one another, where we see each other as equals. And we see the cultural strengths that each culture brings. And that strength can't always be written down on paper or delineated out or weighed. There's no pros and cons here. Your culture is a divine and beautiful thing.
Right. That's why, it doesn't matter what your skin color is. You're still beautiful. If you're black, you're beautiful.
You don't have to look like anyone but yourself. There's no good hair or bad hair.
Right. Good hair or bad hair. Your hair is beautiful.
However it comes out.
Or if you're in India and you don't have as fair a skin as a fair Indian, you're still beautiful. If you're a dark-skinned Indian, you're still beautiful.
There's no superior skin color or type, or hair color or type, or eye color or type. They're all equally beautiful. Just like there's no particular place on earth that is more or less beautiful. Every place is beautiful. We lived in Hawaii for years.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Michigan. It was the middle of winter, and we're like, this is equally beautiful.
Or when I lived in the Southwest desert, I just found Arizona so beautiful.
It's equally beautiful.
Equally beautiful.
And yeah, Michigan doesn't have these painted rocks, and it doesn't have these the same things that anywhere else in the world has, in exactly the same way, but it has its own beauty.
It's its own beauty.
Everything has its own beauty, and that is what all of our cultural differences and our physical differences are teaching us to embrace. I can't look the same as any other person but myself.
Right. But I want to bring it back to, this current issue of, the police, and because there is a very clear history of how the police have treated black people throughout American history, and what it's led up to now is it seems to be that there is going to be a reformation of police. And I think in police training, part of police training, from what I have understood, is that they're trained to profile people, and yes, sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong, but I do think that police have a particular responsibility in knowing their power in every situation and the impact that it has on America as a whole. And that while I understand the profiling, there is obviously there could be a success rate. I'm not saying profile black people.
The problem here, and you said it very clearly, is that police don't know their power. And we've spoken with many police officers.
We have.
And in general, the feeling I got from them is they don't feel powerful.
Right.
They don't feel empowered. And the public looks at them and we're like, you are insanely powerful.
Right.
And the police officers look at themselves like, we don't have any power to do anything right now.
But, something that we notice about police officers, and I don't know if they're aware of this or if they've forgotten, but, there is this feeling of violence. When they come up to your car, there is, they could use violence on you. And,
Well, it comes from authority.
Right.
They have authority.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you can do as a police officer or not is to respect the authority of the police officer because they are representatives of society.
Right.
And what police feel around the Black community is that their authority is not respected.
Mm.
And what the Black community feels around the police officer is that the police officer's authority is not being respected, that they are abusing their authority. And so this comes down to this clash with the police between the Black community and police officers. And by the way, there are plenty of police officers who are Black. And the police officers will tell you that most of them, like they're really good cops. And like,
Yeah.
I saw a video from a Black police officer in tears saying, like, I know plenty of police officers that would die to save you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, the problem is one of authority here between Black people that they're raising and police officers.
Right.
Because it's not okay what's happened and that people are dying in police custody and under police's hands.
Right. That's not what the police are for.
And if there is something that I could say to the Black community, and I say this with humility, and I offer it as a suggestion, and I'm willing to be very wrong here if I am. But that when you are encountering a police officer, and I say this as someone who's had many encounters with the police, in like the police were breathing me down, is that the best thing that you can do for yourself in an encounter with the police is to be humble and to respect their authority completely, because they are there to identify if there's something wrong, if there's something out of order, if there's something egregious. And if you are fighting against their authority, that makes them very upset and drive into their power even more. And this is where abuse of power can arise.
Mm-hmm.
So the key here is if you want to feel safe, and this is for everyone.
This is for everyone. Yeah.
If you want to feel safe around a police officer, extraordinary humility to their authority is the key. And then you will find that their authority serves you. And that's the truth. The police are there as part of your government to serve and protect you, whatever you may be. And that's the truth. That whether Black, white, Asian, whatever you are, if you are an American, for example, the police are there for you and you are an American. They are there to serve your society. And whatever country you're in, that is the true place of the police. And it's to serve you.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is like a really different sermon, but you come to the Church of Union for
Right.
the Unionist perspective.
Right. And like, I know for myself, like in the past when I was younger and like I'd have encounters with police, like I learned this difference that like if I'm like angsty towards them, pushing against them, like, oh man, why are you giving me a hard time? Like, oh my God, I remember like getting pulled over for not wearing a bicycle helmet. And I'm like in my 20s. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, leave me alone. But then I tried this different approach of, you know what? I'm going to treat them like my trusted friend who is just making sure that everything is okay. And when we started taking that approach, like police don't give us problems. They like us. They work with us. And we're deeply appreciative of them. And there is mental health issues that does need to be addressed for some police officers that hide, that hide with the badge and that do commit crimes.
But that's not the general police.
That's not the general police, and I do believe that the police will be held under deeper scrutiny and that, like, getting away with accidental murder is not gonna, or whatever, murder or accidental, like, it's gonna become far more punishable now.
Sure.
And this is checks and balances.
So, you have to understand that police are people, just like you, with a job. And that job is given to them by our government. And our government is directed by you. You have all the power. Your government, even if you're in North Korea, is run by you. Even if it looks like a dictatorship, you are running your government through your brothers in power. Whoever is in power is appointed by you, and you empower them. and you direct them with your will, with your heart, with your agreement or disagreement.
With your vote.
Maybe if you're blessed enough to have a vote, but the vote or not, a vote is just an indicator that your government and you understand that you have a voice. But whether you can vote or not, you have a voice.
And so the last thing I think would be good for us to wrap up on is to touch on this point again of why it is inappropriate to hashtag all lives matter
Sure.
or talk about all lives matter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the fact that like it's Black people's turn, like for this healing of becoming or feeling like they already are equal, but like really being treated like our equal in society, not being passed up for jobs, not being discriminated against in any way, not being not being harmed.
And feeling like they have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
And so you, and remember we're speaking to white people here, you as a white person can understand, not give them special privileges, not let them, skip over important aspects of the journey that you and your cultural history had to take, because it must be taken.
Right.
But you also must understand that this is their cultural journey. And if
Right.
you are to have an equal here, if you are to respect them as an equal, you must stand aside and give them space to speak and listen
Right.
and let them work it out. Because in the end, each culture has its own destiny that it must fulfill, and no other culture can step in and make its destiny happen.
Right.
Black people are making their own destiny right now.
Right.
They are stepping up in society. They have been historically poor, and that need not continue. They've been historically
the minority in this country.
historically disrespected.
And
And now they're standing up for themselves in a new way, and they have historically stood up for themselves and claimed their place as your equal. And we're here to ask you and invite you and encourage you not to see yourself as less than, not to give away your good or become less or
belittle yourself.
belittle yourself in order for them to feel enough.
Yeah, I feel enough.
But instead to hold space for them and lovingly support them while they heal their hurt and grow culturally and claim their power. Because a more powerful Black community is a more powerful world. They're no threat to anyone else, and it's their time to claim their power to the next level, and we're seeing it happen right now.
Yeah.
So we hope that through this service, you maybe got some good cultural lessons and can feel at least a little bit more compassion and understanding to the Black community and what they're going through right now. And we hope that you lovingly support their journey and their growth. So thank you so much for joining us. Let us conclude with our closing prayer and our alms.
Very good.
Father, I accept your word into my heart. I will honor your will in my life and will follow you without hesitation anywhere you ask. I know you guide me into your heart where I belong. I accept that you are everywhere and your teaching is in all things. God, I know you provide me clarity in this teaching of union, that I may be forever in union with you.
I accept that you are in me as you are in my brother. I will not deny my brother your word and will share your teaching with him in any way you ask and only as you ask. For when I share my salvation with him, I fully claim my salvation and return to you with him. In Christ's name, Amen.
Speaking this prayer in your heart means you have accepted that you are on the path of awakening to your true divine nature. This is what it means to be a unionist. Follow the teachings of union with God wherever you find them, and purify your consciousness into perfect union with your Creator. Thank you for joining us. Let us conclude with our alms.
Let's take a nice deep breath in. Please chant either out loud or mentally. shanti, peace, peace, peace. Peace in our hearts, peace in our mind, peace in the world, and so it is. Blessed be and namaste. We will see you all next week.
Namaste.
I hope you enjoyed this sermon from Jeff and Shaleia. I know that we did, and it was very valuable for everybody, so we can learn how to go through this situation and heal as a consciousness. Yeah, it was really, really beautiful. And yes, if you are interested to see our previous sermons or music or readings, you can do so on our website, unionism.org. And also there we are inviting you to donate so you can receive more of our beautiful content and teachings. Also, we are inviting you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay up to date with our services. And don't forget to join us in a Unionist Spiritual Discussion Facebook group for our after church tea time, where we discuss the current sermon and just share our thoughts, share our feelings, have an open discussion about the subject that we heard about in the sermon and service today. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next Sunday.